Okay, we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off here from the second video into your settling in activities. Like we said, during the first week or so of school, things are kind of chaotic, and so it's a time that you can kind of use to just kind of keep students busy till they get all of their books, get all their supplies, meet with all of their classes, and so those things just happen every beginning of every school year, and so it does take some time, number of days before we settle down into a routine. So have some activities planned ahead that can kind of get you to the point where everything settles down and you can begin your course of study in an efficient way. Also, you need to prepare your lab ahead of time. Make sure that it's clean, machinery, equipment is fixed, and you want a good first impression on the part of your students whenever they walk into that lab and see that it's just gleaming, and like that they'll know that you mean business, that you're going to expect them to keep that lab looking that way, and give them some sense of buy-in into that lab, that it's there for their benefit. And so that should wrap up this slide on your first day of teaching. I'm going to spend a little more time dealing with your preparation of a safe classroom and lab. You need to have your tools, machinery, and equipment checked out, ready to go, repaired. If anything is broken, make sure that it's tagged and the electricity is disconnected from it so that nobody can start it up accidentally. Student and faculty related safety is the number one concern. We don't want any accidents. It's costly in the way of time, effort. We certainly don't want any kind of pain associated with that, but yet students need to know exactly what it takes to be able to operate in your lab safely, and no one should go into that lab without a thorough indoctrination into the rules and regulations that are dealing with safety. A safety test before they do anything is a must. Students shouldn't use any kind of equipment until they pass a safety test with 100%. And so you want to be safe, but you want to keep your students safe. You should have regular fire drills. You should orient them where to exit during your initial safety meeting, and periodically through the semester or through the school year you will be doing fire drills. Your emergency plan, in case something else happens, like a bomb threat or a tornado drill or something like that. You have procedures that have been set up either at the local or else at parish level that have been looked at and approved by the state fire marshal and state office of risk management, that you're going to follow in the event any one of these things take place. We have a color-coded system there at our school, and so if we hear across the intercom code black, code blue, code green, whatever it is, we have a table that tells us what kind of situation is taking place. Your heating and cooling system needs to be in tip-top condition. Get with your maintenance people on that, because let's face it, during the summer months it gets awful hot in our labs during the winter time. It could get pretty cold, and we want to keep our students in the best environment possible. We should try to pursue any kind of first aid certifications, like first responder training, or also CPR. We can also There's also classes that we can take that will certify us, and we need to keep those certifications up. In case an accident does happen, there are procedures in place for every state agency in order to record them, do some follow-up, do some investigation, see what happens, see what we can do to make sure that doesn't happen again. Facility ventilation is an important area of concern. Certainly there are many types of gases, things that get put into the air after we do things in some of our labs that we need to have cleaned up, sucked out of, and provide fresh air that circulates within the lab. And so make sure that all of the ventilation ductwork is in good order and is not damaged, so that we can keep all of these noxious fumes and in some cases deadly gases from spreading and harming us and our students. As for lighting, make sure that your lighting is up to code and also working properly. And some of our labs that have fluorescent lighting, there's a condition that is called strobing that can occur. One of my former colleagues in East Baton Rouge Parish lost half his hand because he was in his woodworking lab, and the lights above his table saw were strobing and actually made the blade look like it was standing still. A very rare condition, but yet the conditions were right that day, and because of the ambient noise in his lab, he didn't hear the table saw running, and so he just laid his hand, tried to flick something off of the table saw, and when he laid his hand across the blade, cut it off. So be very, very careful with your lighting. Your laboratory capacities, there's so many students that ought to be able to fit into a vocational education lab. We know that chances are we may put more people than necessary, but yet we should try to find happy medium of around 20-24 people to a lab. It's very, very difficult for you and I to be able to adequately monitor and keep track of our students if we have more students than that. That we may have students with disabilities that want to take our classes. We should make every accommodation for them to be able to do that, but yet in the situations that we're in with our budgets, we may not be able to. But we could have students that have either physical or maybe sometimes mental issues that will come into our lab. Teacher liability. You and I ought to have some liability insurance. Many of our professional organizations will provide it for a very, very nominal cost, up to like $1 million in liability insurance. And so those are good things to have, because if an accident does happen, you just get ready to be sued. That's all there is to it. Your security of the facility, make sure you've got your keys and know who has keys to be able to get into your lab. Certainly we don't want anybody in there that doesn't need to be in there, and so for your safety and for their safety, make sure to keep it locked, and make sure that students don't get in because somebody opened up the door and let them in without your knowing. The security of the equipment kind of falls right into place with that. It's one thing to be able to guard access into the lab itself, but yet for every one of the machines there should be a lockout device on each one to be able to make sure no one uses it until we're ready for them to do so. And finally, you may have an office area. This is the first time that I'm going to have an office in my teaching career. My desk has always served me as an office in a lab. Sometimes that's not the best situation, but yet whenever you can kind of get with you and a student, close the door and have some privacy to be able to deal with them one-on-one, that's a good thing. But make sure that your area is nice and clean, well maintained, and make sure that you've got security for all of your tools, equipment that you may store in there, as well as for your paperwork. Make sure that your file cabinets are in good shape and can be locked to guard from them stealing anything out of there. And so a little bit of work up front will provide us with a really good and safe laboratory and classroom. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this particular lecture at this point, because I've been going over, and hopefully we'll be able to wrap everything up with one more little lecture here. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this and go ahead and terminate this particular part of the lecture right now.